Hey there, this is Ike saying recently I've been giving you bite-sized versions of comics, but today I am combining them into a compilation and giving you something to chill out to, work to, or just to enjoy. In the spirit of Power Rangers trending right now, we are actually looking at the time the Power Rangers met the Justice League. These Rangers are the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This starts with Zordon's request for the Rangers in which they all gather. Reasoning being their robot Alpha 5 has disappeared, and since his signal has been lost, everyone teleports to find him. But Zack the Black Power Ranger finds him first, and wires have been ripped out of his chest. So he returns to Zordon, but while Zordon and Zack are trying to figure out the situation, Alpha 5's body explodes. And as Zack wakes up, he sees a hole in the wall filled with Zed and his army. So Zack suits up, he tries to attack, but the army restrains him, and with that, Zed punches him. With it looking like Zed's about to win, Zack says no and teleports the two of them with his damaged teleporter. As they are in the portal, Zack lets go of Zed and seconds later gets thrown out of the teleporter. He lands on the ground and fights two hostiles, but a light shines on him and there stands Batman in front of him. Batman tries to talk Zack down, but he thinks he's one of Zed's minions. So they begin to fight, except Batman pins him down pretty fast and pretty easily, until all the other Rangers show up and everyone immediately starts trying to jump Batman. So he calls for the Justice League's help, and Flash shows up and disarms all the Rangers. Batman then hops in his Batmobile and shoots a missile at the Rangers, almost destroying them. So the Pink Ranger pulls out the pterodactyl dinosaur power and takes Batman and the Batmobile. So Superman shows up flying beside her pterodactyl ship, knocking on her windshield, telling her to land. John Stewart's Green Lantern shows up next, restraining the rest of the Rangers, but then to break out they summon the rest of their dinosaurs, and so they attack and knock down John. Cyborg now shows up to keep them on the ground, and with that, Flash phases through the dinosaur, taking the Red Ranger out of it. Flash gets ready to punch him, but Superman stops him, telling everyone the fight is over and no one here are the bad guys. Jason the Red Ranger asks, "How are you so sure?" And with that, we see Wonder Woman holding the lasso of truth wrapped around the Pink Ranger. The time the Justice League became gods. So this is actually from the Darkseid War, and Hal, Diana, and Batman stand in front of Metron, demanding him to tell them who the Anti-Monitor is. When Metron lets it be known he doesn't know, Wonder Woman asks him in a different way, "How do I get my answers?" while she uses the lasso of truth. This prompts Metron to answer with, "Take my chair." So Diana yanks him from the chair, and before he could teleport away, Batman sits in it, becoming the God of Knowledge. Superman and Lex Luthor are trying to survive on Apokolips, running away from every monster and parademon they see. But unfortunately, Superman is heavily weakened to the point of even bleeding because Apokolips is not near a yellow sun. This renders Superman unable to fly, but Lex still can. So he asks for Superman's hand and they start flying throughout the sky. But unfortunately, they aren't fast enough to get away from the parademons and other monsters chasing them. So Lex flies over a pit of solar energy and drops Superman in it. This does end up making Superman stronger, but something's wrong. He's black, gray, and very aggressive. And to add on top of that, he has now emerged as the God of Strength. The Anti-Monitor points at Flash in the middle of battle, combining him with Death, creating the Black Racer. Then he uses the Flash to speed blitz and kill Darkseid along with his own power. In turn, Barry has fused with the Black Racer, making him the God of Death. On Oa, with Darkseid dead, the parademons and Mother Box need and want a new god. So they took down every Lantern, asking if they'll be their god. And obviously in return, each of them says no. So in return, the Mother Box actually kills them and turns them into parademons. And at the end of this leaves John Stewart wounded and surrounded to leave Hal a message. He is now the final Green Lantern. So Hal travels to Oa, taking out his friends non-lethally, until eventually he's beaten and taken to the Mother Box, in which it asks, "Will you be my god?" Hal in all basic terms says yes, so it accepts him and Hal becomes the God of Light. When Darkseid dies, Shazam starts feeling it immediately and unknowingly. This is because the old Pantheon is gone, so the wizard who granted Billy his powers tries to find him a new Pantheon. But he was a failure. So eventually a new Pantheon subsides within Shazam, and they continue to argue in Billy's head. And we even see that his powers have been redefined. To shut them up, he says the words, shows up at the source, has talks with his new Pantheon, and is now classified as Shazam, God of Gods. The time Nightwing has superpowers. This is from Nightwing issue 104 by Tom Taylor, and I would actually highly suggest you to read it. At the Bloodhaven Town Hall, Nightwing is doing paperwork to save a little girl's life. But beside him stand Cyborg, Beast Boy, and Raven, and as they are finishing, everyone gets an alert for trouble in the Mascara, meaning the location of the Amazons, Hippolyta, Wonder Woman a lot of the time. So as they get ready to leave, Nightwing just tells his friends to go and he'll catch up, which they do, but to Nightwing's surprise, there actually appears Neuron sitting on the couch right across from him. So Neuron actually gets up, walks over to Nightwing, asks him about the paperwork, which Nightwing shows and says his contract is actually invalid. And that upsets because Nightwing actually has a guardianship over the little girl now. So Neuron tries to make a deal, saying to Nightwing, "I can give you anything." So Neuron raises his hands at Nightwing, saying, "Let me show you a taste of the power to change the world." And in a flash of light, Nightwing has superpowers as he floats above. And while he floats above, he feels his powers and asks Neuron what has he done. Neuron basically says, "I've given you the power to change the world for 2 hours." Then he reminds him of the Titans fighting and needing help on the Mascara. So Nightwing actually flies across the world in moments, grabs Gorilla Grodd and flies him to a deserted island. And once he flies back, the Titans have actually already one. And while they look at him saying that's new, he floats above them saying I could fly now, in which he also tells them about the deal with Neuron and how he only has these powers for 2 hours. He then flies to the Flash, actually being able to catch up with his speed now, asking if he needs any help, to which Wally smiles and leads him to Bangkok. And they even dismantle an illegal water capture, freeing to water to so many civilians. So then Nightwing flies to Superman, telling him thank you and shaking his hand, to then where they both say each other has a good grip. Superman then leads him to space where they look above the whole planet, with Nightwing admitting he likes his view. But there's another battle at the Mascara, and it is actually Neuron and his demons, and he flies to save the little girl, but in the middle of the air, Neuron cuts off his powers, telling him that that's long enough. Time Spider-Man sees everyone he's ever saved. This actually starts one of the most known Spider-Man moments, is when Peter reveals his secret identity to the public. And if you're interested in that, that's actually in Civil War issue number 2. The obvious happens and villains try to come at him, in which Kingpin was the first and technically successful. As Peter and Mary Jane are in a window talking, a bullet goes off, prompting Peter's spider sense, in turn getting him and Mary Jane to safety, but horrifyingly leaving a shot, wounded, and dying Aunt May. Peter is furious with this, handling his emotions in an alleyway, until someone appears to him behind him and doesn't even set his spider senses off. The man asks for the two to get burgers, but Peter declines, thinking it's a scam, also confused with who he is. The man looks at Peter's hands, which are bloody from him beating dumpsters all day, and tells him you're welcome, to which Peter sees his hands are completely healed. So now Peter is even more perplexed, asking who are you, to which the man says you know me. Then he reveals himself as the one above all. So while getting food, Peter is just apologizing for wasting his time, thinking he may be busy or something, but then dives straight into it, asking why he made his life so terrible. Is it all part of the plan, or is he just trying to make Peter's life worse? So the one of all answers with, what if that was my plan and what would you do about it? Peter is so quiet because he was surprised at that answer, in which Peter says I beg you to save her. So the one of all asks another question, what if you couldn't be Spider-Man anymore? Leaving Peter to reply with I give it up in a heartbeat to save Aunt May. So the one of all teleports them to Robert Moses Beach, where Peter used to visit with his late Uncle Ben, and as they walk, Peter notices tons of people, so it prompts him to ask the one of all who they are. He answers with those are thousands upon thousands of people you have ever saved to Spider-Man over the years. He realizes how weird it is seeing it like this. All these people were in his life for mere seconds as he got them out of harm's way. Now considering that they all go back to their lives, to their homes, to their jobs, Peter gave them another chance to live their lives and to be more. This actually helps Peter a lot, but not all the way, having Peter still thinking about Aunt May. The one of all notices this, basically telling Peter that everyone plays a role and it could be a lot worse. So Peter asks him once again, practically begging, please don't let Aunt May die. So the one of all replies, have faith, Peter. A bandaged and fearful Andrew Bennett makes his way towards the Hall of Justice. All this happens while Green Arrow watches him in the shadows. As Andrew runs towards the entrance, the vampire is hit by a car and bursts into flames due to exposure to sunlight. A crowd watches in horror until the Green Lantern Hal Jordan arrives and brings him inside to recuperate. Andrew wakes up with Hal by his side and Hal assures him that he is safe. Andrew demands to speak to the Justice League immediately as the world is at stake. Hal says the League is currently off planet. The energetic young Wonder Twin Zan enters the room and is fascinated by meeting a real vampire, much to Hal's annoyance. Mary, the Queen of Blood, the Vampire Queen, and Andrew's love / nemesis has been murdered. With Mary dead, there is now no one to keep peace between humans and vampires, and the two races are on the brink of war. Andrew explains he has been searching for Mary's murder, and his search led him to the Legion of Doom's headquarters. He arrived to find the Legion massacred and the vampires' plans for genocide of the human race. Andrew then encountered a grievously wounded Lex Luthor, who the vampires left alive to torture. Lex gave Andrew a syringe containing his blood and an address to deliver it to, and then asked Andrew to kill him. Lex's dying wish was for the world to know it had him to thank as their savior. Andrew then narrowly avoided the Legion's members who have been converted into vampires, including the Riddler who he kills, and the Cheetah who chases him out. Spending the next week making his way to Justice League, Andrew moved during daylight out of fear that vampires were closing in on him. He warns that the vampire have agents everywhere and says the Leaguers were the only people he could trust. Hal and Zan are bewildered by Andrew's story. When Hal asks if he has any proof or has he told anyone else, Andrew answers no. Zan announces that he'll get the other League members and Hal immediately restrains him using the Green Lantern ring. After Andrew realizes Hal lied when he said the League was off planet. Andrew calls Hal a traitor, but Hal replies that Andrew has betrayed the vampires by trying to stop them from taking what rightfully belongs to the race. Hal reveals he himself is now a vampire and proceeds to viciously murder Zan by grinding him into a blender with his ring. Hal reveals his powers as a Green Lantern, grants him immunity to sunlight, and kills Andrew by projecting a sun with the ring. Hal then calls his master to inform that Andrew has been taken care of and disposes of Zan's remains. Aquaman walks in just as Hal finishes cleansing it to inform him that Batman has called a meeting. Aquaman observes that no one has seen Green Arrow in days. That night, Batman arrives in the Batcave to find Alfred Pennyworth waiting for him. Alfred reveals that a nervous, bandaged man had arrived at Wayne Manor earlier that day, seeking to speak with him. Alfred hands Batman a note from the man, Andrew Bennett, and holding the syringe says that he wanted Batman to know Lex Luthor might have just saved the world. After the Green Lantern turned vampire, Hal Jordan kills the powerful necromancer Anton Arcane. He hears a voice, the voice of his master. The master tells Hal there is a problem. Andrew Bennett, though Hal had already killed him, was on the run for a week, and Hal's masters believe it should be assumed that he told others of the vampire's plans for genocide. The last thing the vampire needs is for the wrong person to discover their plans. At Wayne Manor, Nightwing arrives to find Batgirl bathing in the sunlight. Batman calls them into the summer. The rest of the Bat family, Alfred Pennyworth, Red Hood, Red Robin, and Orphan are already waiting. Batman Batman informs the family that last week he was visited by Andrew Bennett, who warned them that the vampires plan to wage war against the human race. Andrew has since gone missing, and Batman's detective work indicates that he's being followed before his trail went cold. Just outside Star City, Brick, Cheshire, and Everyman and Cupid sit at a picnic table, where they discuss how so many villains have gone missing in the past weeks. Brick is concerned that something else, not the heroes, is hunting them, which the others dismiss. The group is suddenly interrupted by Green Arrow, who says that one of them is a vampire. He asks Everyman if he is right. The others laugh, but Everyman suddenly reveals his vampiric nature and lunges at Green Arrow, who kills him. Before he leaves, Green Arrow tells Brick, Cheshire, and Cupid to stay protecting themselves. Back in Wayne Manor, the family is bewildered by Batman's claims. Batgirl feels like he is just joking. Batman assures her that he is not by telling the family of the Mad Monk, a bloodthirsty vampire who's one of his earliest foes. Batman also mentions that the Mad Monk's female counterpart, Dahlia, who Nightwing will remember since he encountered her during his time as Robin. Batman is unsure if the Mad Monk is the vampire who overthrew Mary, Queen of Blood, and Batman says that the best of the family can do now is deduce who the vampires will go after next. Vampires will hunt the meta-humans to target villains first. Batgirl notes they'll also target psychics and telepaths, who could eventually figure out their plans, while Nightwing and Red Robin point out that they'll go after magicians and the sunlight users as well. Robin notes that the vampires will likely convert younger heroes first, which means the birds of prey, outsiders, and Teen Titans may already be compromised. The Justice League would be even more difficult to infiltrate since the vampires would target younger heroes first. At the Hall of Justice, the Wonder Twin Jana runs in crying. Zan has been missing for days, and Jana can no longer feel him. Hal offers to help her find him, but she runs off in tears after Booster Gold suggests that Zan was tired of being felt by his sister. The League scoffs at Booster Gold for making such an insensitive comment. Back at Wayne Manor, Batman reveals he has mixed everyone's drinks with holy water, and had them meet up in the sunroom to assure none of the family has been converted. Since no one has burned up, Batman finally allows them to come down to the Batcave, where he makes everyone hold a crucifix as a final test. Everyone passes, so Batman reveals their new vampire hunting equipment. Nightwing is surprised by the sudden change in methods, but Batman points out since the vampires are undead, the family will not be foregoing their no-kill rule. Afterward, Alfred brings Batman some dinner. Alfred drinks the holy water laced tea to show Batman that he remains human. While Batman acknowledges that not having him drink it at the same time as everyone was an oversight, he already had the boiler blessed. Alfred asks why Batman did not tell the rest of the family about the vial of Lex Luthor's blood Andrew gave him, in which Batman says that doing so now would have been too much of a gamble considering that the entire human race is at stake. At night, Hal meets with Barry Allen at the beach. The two sit down and Hal confides to Barry that something bad is about to happen. Barry assures Hal that he trusts him and that if something bad happens, he will always be on his side. Hal then says something good happened to him and proceeded to restrain Barry, but his vampire master believes that his powers would have made him unsuitable as a vampire. Hal brutally murders Barry by snapping his neck as he looks away, a bloody tear falling from his eye. He mourns Barry having won to conquer the world by his side. By morning, the Justice League finds the Flash Mango corpse on the beach. As they mourn, Wonder Woman vows to find whoever killed him. While Batman refuses to share his theory, the Green Lantern Hal Jordan orders Wonder Woman, Plastic Man, and Superman to find Barry's robes. Aquaman to search nearby oceans for clues, and Marshman to coordinate with the authorities. Before Hal can give him orders, Batman declares that he knows what to do and stays behind on the beach with Jana in Gotham City. Ratcatcher struggles with a man until Batgirl intervenes, thinking Ratcatcher is assaulting someone. However, the man reveals himself to be a vampire and attacks. The vampire says that although the vampires have been ordered not to touch the Batman family, he will simply lie that he acted in self-defense. Before the vampire can kill Batgirl, Nightwing stakes and destroys him. The two briefly flirt before the Ratcatcher interrupts them to reveal that a gang of vampires is hunting criminals all over Gotham. Batman encounters a crying Jana while investigating the sewers underneath the Hall of Justice. Jana deduces that Batman is searching for her brother Zane, who disappeared when Andrew Bennett came to the Hall of Justice looking for help. Batman reveals that he found traces of Zan and Andrew's DNA in the Hall's infirmary, and that whoever killed them tried to clean it up but was really sloppy. Back in Gotham, the Penguin runs from a group of vampires before tripping and falling. He runs to Zatanna, whom he begs for help. The vampire stops when they see Zatanna and explain they think Lex Luthor may have spoken to the Penguin, which he angrily denies. Zatanna remarks that it's sad for the Penguin to think that the vampires wanted to turn him into one of us, and reveals her fangs to his horror. At the beach, Wonder Woman looks to the horizon. Hal arrives to ask if she is okay, which Diana finds strange since Barry just died. She notes that Hal quickly became used to referring to Barry in the past tense, which she finds odd since they were best friends. Hal attempts to change the subject by revealing his feelings for Diana, but Diana realizes Hal was the one who killed Barry and whips out her lasso of truth. Hal reveals he is now a vampire and killed Barry reluctantly, having wanted him to join his crusade. As Diana begins to cry, realizing she had lost not one but two friends, Hal uses hypnosis to convince Diana to join him. She draws closer and he sinks his teeth into her neck. Black Canary and Robin simultaneously discover the Penguin's corpse in the Gotham alley. The two, suspicious of each other, engage in a one-on-one hand-to-hand battle, which ends with Diana extracts a sample of Damian's blood. Diana runs off to test if Damian is still human and says she will find him if he is. She also warns him not to follow her. Batman dives to the Hall of Justice sewers, where Jana says she senses Zan's strongest. The only part of Zan that Batman is able to find is a piece of his finger, confirming once for all he is dead. Jana breaks down before her sadness turning into anger, demanding to know who was responsible. Batman notes that the blade that killed Zan left no bone fragment, turning him it was not made of metal, it was made of light. Diana arrives at the hideout she has set up with Arsenal and Green Arrow, carrying a bundle of blood samples. Diana tells Oliver that she encountered Damian and is unsure if he's a vampire. Oliver remarks that Batman is so smart that it's impossible to trust any members of his family regardless of what they find. At the Hall of Justice, the Justice League gathers for a meeting. Diana tells the rest of the League that Batman was not invited to the meeting before lying that she and Hal found evidence that he killed Barry. In London, John Constantine sits in a bar and talks to himself. Zatanna walks in and she asks if he can talk to him privately. Unbeknownst to Zatanna, John is already aware she's a vampire and plans to bite him. So when she prepares to attack, he uses a spell to stop her. Zatanna is angered but calms down when John assures her that he does not plan on killing her since he wants someone to listen to him gripe. In the the Batcave, Batman's working to collect as many blood samples as possible when he realizes that the Batcave has been intruded and shuts off the lights. Green Arrow shoots what he thinks is Batman with a trigger and only to realize he shot a decoy mannequin, leading Batman to attack him with the stake. Batgirl investigates into Gotham City and finds her way into an abandoned hotel room. Nightwing follows her in and the two briefly flirt before Batgirl shows him that she found dirt in the room. Vampires must sleep above dirt in their ancestors' home as they travel, and the room was booked for a long-term stay by a certain Mary Shacton. Shacton being the maiden name of Mary, Queen of Blood's mother. Batgirl surmises that Mary traveled to Gotham in secret, and she and Nightwing now have to find out why. Back in the Batcave, Batman and Green Arrow engage in brutal hand-to-hand combat. During the fight, Green Arrow shoots Batman with a trick arrow filled with water before Batman tackles him and pins him to the ground to stake him. As they stare at each other, Green Arrow and Batman realize they're both trying to kill a vampire, and neither of them is a vampire. John and Zatanna are in the middle of a conversation when Dr. Fate appears to get John's help. Zatanna immediately lunges at Fate, although John frees her with a spell. Fate uses his powers to destroy her. An angered John curses Fate for destroying his friend and expresses his apathy towards Fate's justification that the fate of the world is at stake. Batman asks Green Arrow how he learned of the vampire's plans. Green Arrow explains that he captured a vampire Clock King, and despite Clock King's unreliability, he was still able to determine that there is a vampire conspiracy that ran deep. He began tracking villains' movements, which led him to Gotham and rumors that a hero had been turned, causing him to assume that Batman was a vampire. Batman tells Green Arrow that his assumption that a hero was a vampire was partially correct. Hal Jordan is now a vampire and killed Barry Allen. However, Batman tells Green Arrow that they must not go after him yet, since Hal is certainly not the lead vampire. Back in Gotham, Red Hood and Batgirl find a legion of vampires led by Gorilla Grodd, one of the vampire generals, in an office building. Grodd attempts to throw Red Hood out of the window, but Batgirl barely saves him and Grodd escapes. Red Hood asks Batgirl if she found any evidence, and she reveals one of the Joker's playing cards, with giant fangs drawn on it. Batman and Green Arrow look over potential suspects on the Batcomputer when the Batcave's intrusion alarm rings. Green Arrow is relieved to see it is Wonder Woman, but Batman realizes she's a vampire and she claims that Barry's death is not Batman's fault and that he is sick. Hal also appears before Mask Alarm goes off and the entire Justice League of America makes their entrance. Batman and Green Arrow realize that Hal and Wonder Woman have tricked the entire Justice League into hunting them, and the fight breaks out. In the vast realm of space, something huge is drifting towards Earth. So Reed Richards, Captain America, Tony Stark, and Beast talk about what it is and with what it does. Captain Marvel sent them an urgent message 6 hours ago, telling them to come and see for them to travel to her location. So Reed shows them that it's Galactus drifting towards them, and Reed even says that he's not moving. In return, this prompts Tony to admit that Galactus is dead and the body needs to be dealt with. Reed says the Fantastic Four is going, so he asks Captain America if the Avengers is in which he says they are. Beast gives some of the X-Men, each team assembles ready for their travel to space. We see characters like Invisible Woman, The Thing, Thor, Magic, and even War Machine. Captain America asks for Magneto's help, so he rotates Galactus for the team to enter his mouth. So the team suits up knowing they'll be harvesting some of Galactus. Wolverine notes someone in the mouth was watching them and they just ducked back in. The team lands on his tongue and Wolverine finds out they can breathe inside, so everyone takes their helmets off. But he smells someone else. He tells everyone it's something he smelled before. Reed is mapping the inside of Galactus' mouth. He's even fascinated with his body, but the Thing and Human Torch leave to go fight the unknown intruder. So they leave and Reed tells everyone else they should tap into Galactus' source of energy. So they move through with Magic lighting the way with her sword. And Wolverine says, "Oh no," finally realizing what this is and who this is, and tells Ileana to get everyone out now, popping his claws out ready to fight. Magic demands to know who is there and the voice calls out, "Come and see." Meanwhile, everyone else is still harvesting Galactus. Sue tells Reed she thinks this is a bad idea, with everyone else agreeing. Tony realizes that someone has been living there harnessing off of Galactus this whole time and the energy source wasn't Galactus. On the other side, a zombified Carol stands in front of everyone with Wolverine afraid and yelling for everyone to go, saying she is dead and has been dead since she called us here. Cap tells Magic to make a portal to take them to Iron Man's position, with her nodding, agreeing, and actively doing it. Captain Marvel lunges at Logan but gets quickly cut in half by Magic. She scoffs, saying, "The great Captain Marvel. I was expecting more." But she is pulled by a vine from the wall, and as the area starts rumbling, the zombified Guardians of the Galaxy pop out to attack. Wolverine starts slicing at everyone. Back to the other team, they see a huge pool of blood within Galactus' core and someone is in it, attached to tendrils sucking all of Galactus' energy. To their horrified surprise, it's a zombie Silver Surfer. The Thing asks Silver Surfer what happened to him, but he says, "Come and see," immediately biting at Johnny's neck, killing him with blood gushing everywhere. The other group is being overwhelmed, with everyone either fighting for their lives or being turned into zombies. Beast is shouting as Magneto is killed, while Cap tells Thor to retreat to the ship. So Thor starts bursting out of Galactus, but is met on his way by a zombified Gladiator. The others is now also struggling, with Iron Man being the one to tell them to get to the ship, but his arm gets ripped off his body. Sue is yelling for Johnny, looking at his lifeless body while fighting, but to their surprise, Johnny calls out, "It's not what we thought." Coming then gets cut off by the Thing punching his head so hard it exploded. Yelling for the others to leave now, their kids need them. Right after, Zombie Nova comes in, knocking the Thing down. As Reed and Sue are leaving, Reed is stopped by an invisible barrier and a zombified Sue. Back at the ship, War Machine is struggling to get anyone on comms until he sees a zombified Thor and an army of zombies behind him. They fly at him and rip the ship apart, but Thor is the one to slam him further into the ship. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Spider-Man sits with Valerie Richards playing a game of chess. Franklin walks toward them as they see something huge heading toward Earth, and above we see the corpse of Galactus heating up on fire, entering Earth's atmosphere. Late at night, Tommy wearing a Foot Clan suit sneaks into Mason Technology to take a very special item, and when he falls into the lab, he takes it and hears a voice say, "You really didn't stick the landing." Tommy is standing in front of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Michelangelo leaves the charge screaming cowabunga, and at that moment, Tommy morphs using his Dragon Zord, becoming the Green Ranger. Mikey stands in shock, asking if they are really fighting the Power Rangers. So the battle begins, and Tommy asks, "Why have you all been following me?" With the Turtles also engaging in conversation a bit as well. And up above the roof, the other Rangers stand above, wondering if they really are in the right spot of Tommy's locator, with Kim saying if he morphed here, that means he's in danger. Right after, we see Tommy thrown through a wall and flying on the roof. And when they stand in front of who did it, they see the Turtles. Leo adds, "Look who called for backup." The two teams now begin their official battle, Leo versus Jason the Red Ranger, exchanging swords in battle, with Leo commenting, "That's a nice sword," and Jason saying thank you. Donnie versus Billy, with Donnie asking him a whole bunch of questions like, are the Rangers aliens? Are their abilities supernatural? How did their big green one play the flute? With Billy noticing that he's really smart. Mikey versus Zach, with Mikey asking, "Aren't y'all supposed to be the good guys?" And Zach answering, "Yeah, just ask anyone." Mikey says, "If that's true, why are y'all working with Shredder?" And Zach finishes with, "What's a Shredder?" A little outside the fight though, Kim the Pink Ranger tries to talk with Tommy, wondering what is going on. She's a little upset with him and wanting answers. All she got in return though was a "trust me." Until Raph jumps out the shadows ready to fight Tommy, until Kim kicks him away, with Kim telling Tommy, "Just go, we'll handle this." While this whole fight is going down, we see Shredder and Karai watching the whole thing unfold. Karai wonders if Tommy was successful in getting the device, and we see Shredder saying his trust will be earned, and if everything goes right, Tommy will be his to command. Shredder then steps out of the shadows to watch the fight with a better view. So hopefully you enjoyed this and can like, share, and comment to give me the ability to provide more content like this. Please help me on my journey to 20,000 subscribers, and have a blessed day.